So Frost Giant are making more approachable games, sticky social features, and they're saying they want to be like Elden Ring, the way they popularize Souls-like games. Elden Ring did not popularize Soul-like games, right? Like, you could say it was the most popular, but they were already enormous beforehand. What are they going to do to popularise RTS again? Social aspects, what? You either ladder on your own and refine a build over and over and over and over again until you get some wins. That's what most RTS players are going to do. You play 2v2 with a random dude or 3v3 with a random dude. Might not use voice chat, not very social, or already exists in StarCraft with mini games and all that stuff. Or you play with somebody that you already know in Discord, right? They're not very RTS games just aren't social. That's just not what they are. And you haven't told us anything that you're going to do to actually make them more social or playable. Yes, saying we're going to put team games in there, that doesn't actually make the game more social. Making gameplay easier doesn't make the game more social. That's just not what happens. I think a more interesting thing would be the way FPS games innovate the meta regularly. RTS games should do that. It should be like, hey, this week you all start with an extra 1,000 gas. Hey, this week you all start with a tank. Hey, this week you all can choose one tier 3 tech unit to start with. Oh, this week you all start with 2 expansions, right? And then the actual strategy aspect of the game, the thinking on the fly and innovating strats, becomes more interesting, because you're like, oh shit, this week I can do this with this thing. And it's not just going on ladder for the next 6 months and getting rolled by people that have perfected the quote meta build, right? You want things to keep switching up the meta over and over and over again. And what better way to do it than having randomized sort of starting points and making people think on the toes, like, oh shit, actually, this guy can go ahead and suddenly macro out really quickly because he's got 2 bases, or oh damn, we've both started with an extra 1,000 gas, he could rush some cloak tech or whatever, right? That's a thing that might get you on. You might say to your friend, hey, I know you're not enjoying the current meta, but hop on. It's a lot quicker now. Oh, we've all got siege tanks, it's pretty fun, I'm doing this push. Get people discussing the game, right? How you make a game more social and more live is you get people discussing the game by doing these tweaks and changes, right? The thing that was boring to me about RTS games was that for basically like years and years and years, you're basically playing Marine Marauder Medivac and you're just improving your micro and macro little by little until you get good enough to roll over somebody. And I'm not going to say there's no strategy, but there can be no strategy in an RTS game like StarCraft. It can just be who's got the best macro, just make a load of units and perfect it. And by constantly innovating how you start, or like maybe there's mid-game, maybe in the mid-game they just say, hey, at 25 minutes the map gets a wall put up and nobody can go across it. So then that might innovate, like, I need to kill this guy before 25 minutes, or I'm going to try hold on, and then in that 5-minute period where nobody can attack, I'm going to macro up like hell, you know, like just spitballing random ideas to innovate a game genre that I think needs it. I think the way you get a game social is get people talking, get people trying new stuff. I don't think the way you get a game social is just by putting easier game modes in there and, like, you know, these kind of things, because most people they'll leave a game like an RTS game because they're like, wow, every single game is Immortal Century all in. And all I'm doing is I'm practicing how to hold it, and he's practicing how to execute it, and that's all we're doing. Or, wow, it's Swarm Host, and I'm practicing executing it, he's practicing defending it. Oh, I lost, I didn't quite do it well enough. You know what I mean? Like, it can get very stale. Like, I can load up StarCraft 2 now. It's pretty much the same game that it's always been for, like, the last 5 years. There's nothing for me to tell my friends about. Like, hey, hop on and come and play. Like, you know what I mean? So, when they're saying Elden Ring popularized Souls-like games, you could say it was the biggest one, but it didn't really popularize it. And I've yet to see any concrete plans by Frost Giant to actually make the game grow and be social. Throwing out words like sticky social features to help catapult the RTS genre back into the mainstream. Give us some examples. Give us some ideas. For me, there's no hype about this game at all. I would say it's not dead on arrival. because there's enough people that will be shilling the hell out of it and desperately trying to make it a thing, and they'll pour money into it for tournaments. But to me, this just seems like a weaker version of StarCraft. That's it. That's all I'm seeing.